It is time for Answers Party Line today for your Thursday. That's August the 9th, 2018. Answers Party Line brought to you by Wimmer Opticians of St. Cloud, Atlas Family Chiropractic, Wade Park, West Central Sanitation. My name is Brad Melke. Good morning. In studio with us from the Soil and Water Conservation District, we have with us Dennis Fuchs from the NRCS. What? Who? From the NRCS, we also have with us Rick Berscheid. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I like your glasses, Dennis.
Oh, well, thank you.
You got kind of a different little hairstyle and new glasses.
Yeah.
I noticed these things.
Yeah, the white stems match well with the white hair.
Yeah, you're very stylish. You know, everything matches your frames of your glasses and your shirt. And
yeah, I wish our listeners could see this.
I wish they could, too.
Just this morning, I was visiting with staff. We've got some promo stuff going on one of our watersheds with our farmers, and they're going to be out there taping and doing a lot of video and photography and using a drone to get aerial stuff. And I said, I got a face for radio. I need some people out there that are good for TV, so I'm going to try to avoid that as much as possible. But
I would say whatever lens catches your image there, Dennis, it would be very nice. What do you think of that?
Meow.
Meow. Rick, I don't mean to leave Rick out. Rick looks good, too.
Yeah, I'm laughing. If you could only see him.
We are here to talk about some stuff coming up. You've got, a field day on the way?
Yes, we do. We do have a soil health field day coming up here on, thank you, Rick, Wednesday, August 29th. Wednesday, August 29th, a bus tour of cover crops, no-tills, and buffers, no-tilling systems. And I do have some additional information on this. And looks like we're going to have RSVP requirement because we're going to be using a bus. And you have to give us a call by Wednesday, August 22nd. And give our office a call at 251-7800. extension 3, and you can talk to Katie Breath or just talk to whoever's on the phone, probably Candace, and she'll be able to take your information. Space is limited, so we want to make sure that we get producers and crop consultants out there. And if you're a farmer that would like to learn more about what is all this soil health stuff, this is the time to do it. The coach bus will be leaving the Stearns USDA Service Center at Marketplace Mall at 9 o'clock, and it'll return at 4:30 p.m. that day being Wednesday, August 29th. Lunch and refreshments are provided free, courtesy of Cold Spring Co-op, Stearns County SWCD, and the Sauk River Watershed District. And this tour is, once again, for producers and crop advisors and colleagues that are interested in ag and soil health practices. So some of the farms that we're going to be visiting that day include the Bechtold Dairy. We're going to be looking at a no-till system and compare it to some producers that have minimal till. And we're hoping to learn how the producer transitioned from a more conventional tillage system to a no-till system. And what we really like about this tour, Rick and I have talked about this, is the farmers really appreciate hearing this information from other farmers, not from Rick and I. They want to hear it from the guys that are actually making it work. And this whole tour is orientated around producers sharing information with producers. And we realize that we don't have all the answers, and the farmers out there that are trying to implement these strategies definitely know what works and what doesn't, and have made a few mistakes, and minimize your mistakes by talking to the producers that have made it work.
And I heard the word free, I believe.
Yes. Well, there are a few more farmers we're going to visit, too.
Well, please, tell us more.
We're going to visit Lee Sabinski. He's a farmer near Wade Park, and he's going to have a cover crop system we're going to evaluate. We're also going to tour Elvin Umscheid's hayable buffer. That's something that the Sauk River Watershed District and us are partnering on. And we're also going to take a look at the Luxembourg Seed Co-op cover crop plots. They got some cover crop plots. You're actually going to see various types of cover crops. That could be, give me some cover crops there, Rick. That
it could be cereal rye. Could be some clovers out there. It could be some turnips and radishes. It all depends on the time of the year, Dennis.
It sounds like deer plot right there. Hey.
Dual purpose.
Yeah. And then we're going to check out Francis Krippner's stream buffer and cattle crossing. So at each one of these sites, we'll provide a detailed description of the farm, the types of soils on the farm, and harvest-to-harvest operation. And the farmer will be sharing that information. They'll be there to help answer any questions that the attendees may have. And we're really hoping that you can join us. Like I said, space is limited. This is going to be Wednesday, August 29th. We'll be taking off from Marketplace Mall at 9 a.m. That's where the USDA Service Center is located, not the West Side Service Center, not that place. The Stearns County West Side Service Center is not where you need to go. You need to go to the USDA Service Center, Marketplace Mall, over by Pizza Ranch. That's where we are.
Okay.
And the nice thing about this bus tour, this time of the year, a lot of counties have different field days for soil health. But on this one, you get to ride the bus, you get to see several different sites, and visit with several different producers. And it's going to be a full day full of fun, and hopefully you'll learn a lot. I know when I go on all these tours, I pick up new items every time I go. So you can always learn something, and if you can take one or two things home, it's well worth the bus ride.
But the other thing, we're getting a coach bus, so it's going to be a nice, comfortable ride. And what I like, you visit with a producer at their site, and you're sitting beside another producer as you're driving to the next tour stop. And it's a great opportunity. Hey, what do you think? What in my farm and this? So it's an opportunity to talk about it and visit. And it's just going to be a great time. There won't be any beer provided. I'm sorry about that, but we will have free food, free lunch there. So and some refreshments, but it'll probably be water. And you have to have the beer later once you get home and celebrate all the stuff you learned.
What's the deadline to sign up?
The deadline to sign up is, what did I say, August 22nd.
Oh, okay.
That's a Wednesday, so that's the week before it happens. We'd like to have you call our office at 251-7800, extension 3. And let us know that you'd like to participate in the soil health tour, and we'll get you on, and then we'll see you at the Marketplace Mall, 9 a.m. on Wednesday, August 29th, when the tour actually happens. Registration starts at 8:30, and the bus leaves at 9 and returns at 4:30 p.m.
So you guys always talk about soil health, and from that perspective, and also the fact that, you want to have a production of something on your land to make things profitable for you for having that land, is no-till always the best option as compared to minimal till? Is no-till always the goal?
I think it depends a lot on the type of soils and the farming operation. I have heard that if you have inadequate drainage and poorly drained soils, that if you do a no-till system, it may not be as conducive to producing a high-yielding crop. But I've also heard people say that as they went into a no-till system, the amount of macropores and earthworm boring activity increases, which increases infiltration rate, which
So Mother Nature takes control.
Yeah, so Mother Nature helps. But it's site dependent. Of course, if you got manure in a no-till system, you have to identify or come up with a way of managing that. If you apply it on the surface, you're going to be losing a lot of your nitrogen fertilizer. So you'd want to inject. And if you have a liquid system, you could inject. And you just want to – it depends a lot on your farming operation. And that's going back to this tour, having these farmers talk about how they – like when we go to Bechtold Dairy, they've got manure and they're trying to move into a no-till system. You're going to learn how they're making this happen. And I just want to let listeners know, as times are tough, as you know they are, one of the best things you can do is reduce your input cost. And just because the tractor's paid for doesn't mean you're not going to have to fill it up with fuel and do repairs, especially if it's green. And did I say that out loud?
That was an editorial, I think.
What the heck? That wasn't. Well, geez, that kind of brings.
That was uncalled for, I think.
What the heck? Anyhow, reducing your input costs and maintaining yields is a great way to save money and also save your soil.
I like it.
For future generations. So take a if you can, get it on your calendar. Join us on this tour. I'm going to be there. I'd love to visit with you and see what's working and what's not.
More from Dennis and Rick after our news break. It's 9:30. It's Chasm Radio. More Answers Party Line today for your Thursday on Chasm Radio. We're visiting with Rick Berscheid. He is the District Conservationist with the Natural Resources Conservation Service. Also Dennis Fuchs, Administrator with the Soil and Water Conservation District. Lots of things going on. We talked about the Soil and Health Field Day coming up August the 29th, you said, right, Dennis?
Yep, correct.
And you've got other stuff coming up, too.
Absolutely. Right now we have a water testing clinic going on. So if you don't know if your well water is safe to drink, you can stop by our office to get a well testing kit. Approximately 24,800 Stearns County residents gets their water from private drinking wells. And you cannot see, taste, or smell most of the contaminants in your well water, such as arsenic, coliform, bacteria, and nitrate. But if you stop by the Stearns County SWCD office, the Sauk River Watershed District, or the Stearns DHIA laboratories, you can pick up a well testing kit for just $10. Now this cost is only for a limited time. We have to have all the testing done by August 31st. We were able to help offset some of this cost through a grant, so the cost is very minimal to actually find out what is in your water to make sure it's safe for you to drink. So for $10, get your well water tested. Again, you can stop by our office at 110 2nd Street South, Suite 128, or you can go to the Sauk River Watershed District at 524 4th Street South in Sauk Center, or go to Stearns DHIA Laboratories at 825th 12th Street South in Sauk Center. And when you stop to get your kit, there will be directions in the box with the watering sample container, and you just make sure you follow those because they need to be returned in a certain time frame and be kept at a certain temperature to make sure the test is accurate. So stop by, give our office a call at 320-251-7800, extension 3 to learn more.
Rick, I know you've had some testing clinics prior to this past month, and are you up on as far as has anybody found things? Has there been a trend? Do you have any statistics?
So we don't get the results back.
Okay.
When the resident turns it in, they'll get the results mailed to them.
Themselves, okay.
But this is an expanded clinic that we've been putting on here. Typically, we just test for nitrates. This one here, we're able to test for arsenic, coliform, bacteria as well. So it's a better or more extensive testing.
Sure.
I did participate in this test myself and had our private well tested, and I was happy to see our nitrate and arsenic levels were absent. That was very, very good to see. But I got a present, not a gift, but a detect of bacteria. So if you do, and I think our water is fine. I don't think it's the bacteria that's making me goofy. It's the beer occasionally.
That could be, yeah.
But I was going to say that if there are instructions on taking the water sample for the coliform bacteria, and you really need to make sure that you disinfect the faucet, either flame it or use bleach to make sure you sanitize it. And the morning I was getting the water sample before I headed into work, I didn't flame it, and I didn't want to run down and get the bleach, and it was a plastic type of faucet, and I thought the wife would not be happy if I was flaming that, turning it from white to black, and so I didn't, and I figured I'll just let it run 10 minutes. That'll get all the bacteria washed off. Well, I got a positive detect. So just if you do that, make sure you take the time to chlorinate and or flame the faucet that you're using. If it's stainless steel, you probably could flame it pretty easily. Plastic, don't do that. You don't want to get in trouble with the spouse. But it's a great test, and it's a great way to know. And the Minnesota Department of Health recommends you test your drinking water every so often. And you'll know for sure if you got nitrate, arsenic, or bacteria.
Okay. What else you got going on?
Well, I wanted to let everybody know Wednesday, August 22nd, there's going to be a Mississippi River Sartell watershed meeting. They're just begun the initial stages of a planning effort to restore and protect rivers and lakes. And this is a very big watershed that includes Albany and the Two River Lake watershed. And this is led by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. And a lot of this information that they collect through this watershed restoration and protection strategy meetings is used to feed our One Watershed, One Plan. And this is an opportunity to meet your local and regional officials that work to protect and restore your rivers and lakes every day. You can enjoy an interactive scientific display, learn how the Pollution Control Agency collects, analyzes, summarizes water quality data to support and guide the planning effort, and you get an overview of the current state of rivers and streams in your area. So this watershed, the Mississippi River Sartell watershed, stretches from Albany, Avon area all the way up past Piers into Crow Wing County. So it's a very large watershed, and these are the planning units that we use to help guide our conservation efforts. And this meeting is going to be Wednesday, August 22nd at the Rice Lions Building, 4 to 6 p.m. And that's located on the West Side Park at 101 4th Avenue Northwest, Rice, Minnesota. And once again, it's just initial planning stages. It's an opportunity for you to learn more about the watershed, and an opportunity for you to even share some information with the local and regional officials that you might want to share with them. So keep that in mind, and if you can make it, that once again is Wednesday, August 22nd at the West Side Park in Rice, Minnesota, 101 4th Avenue Northwest, 4 to 6 p.m. All right, thank you very much.
I know the watershed stretched all the way to here to Albany here.
Yeah.
Mississippi.
Yep. This Albany is part of the Two River watershed. It's right on the edge of it.
Sure.
And that flows, what is that, Spunk Creek and also the South Two River flow into the Mississippi.
Right, okay.
Yep.
All right. Very good.
So we wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in our office, too.
Yeah, it's been really busy here lately. So we got through all of our sign-ups, and now that we're in the middle of summer, we have a lot of construction going on now. So we just wanted to update our listeners on what type of projects that we're building right now. This summer, we've completed, and right now under construction, are several different stacking slabs. It could be for poultry, could be for beef, different varieties of manure there. We're also been installing in concrete tanks for dairy manure. We've had a high-density polyethylene, or the HDPE lined pits for manure going in. We have some erosion control projects, such as water sediment control basins and waterways and rock chutes to help control our concentrated flows and to fix those resource concerns. We've had a high tunnel be installed here recently. Irrigation water management's in full swing right now. So we just had a lot of projects going on, working with our producers within Stearns County. We had several cover crops that have been interseeded here recently. And if you go to that field day, you'll see one of our stops. You're going to see a field that was interseeded to a cover crops here that will be seeded here real soon.
Did you say high tunnel?
A high tunnel
I
system.
didn't know you were involved in that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. That's why we just want to let everyone know what type of practices and projects that we are involved in case you're interested in doing something. And as of right now, we do not have a 2019 EQIP sign-up deadline date yet. But if you're interested in addressing any of your resource concerns, just stop by our office here and we can start that conservation planning process now to get the plan ready for when funding is available. But yes, the high tunnel systems, they're put up for plant productivity, health, and vigor. So essentially, you can get the crops growing earlier in the season and they can grow later. The high tunnel can assist with other pests that you can have, and just the crops grow better inside a high tunnel system.
Does that have a tendency to be more on a smaller acreage type of development? Or?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So the high tunnel system has to be installed on cropland.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if it was on an existing garden or it could be an annual row crop or whatever it is. It has to be on cropland. And they're typically on the smaller scales. Some of the producers have CSAs that sell their produce, or they go to the farmers markets to sell their produce. But your production increases significantly.
Mm-hmm.
The management style changes a little bit because now you're putting the plants inside. Your heat can rise significantly, so there's just more management involved, but you get better production out of it
Sure.
as well. So
All right.
if you're interested in any of those types of practices, come on in, stop by the office, and we'll start that whole planning process now. A couple other practices that you may be interested in are completing energy audits. We have funding through EQIP through that, and we also have an additional partnership going with Stearns Electric here, and they have funding available to assist with doing some energy audits. If you've had an energy audit completed, we can help with some of the improvements as well. Cover crops, irrigation water management, no-till, grazing systems, high tunnel systems, erosion control projects. This is just a short list of all the different types of practices that we actually work on. Again, just stop by our office, and we'll love to come out to your farm and see where we can help you out.
Okay.
All right. I would like to just cover a few projects that we got going on. One is the Clean Water Fund is got an open period right now where we can apply for grants. These grant dollars come from the Clean Water Legacy Act that was approved in 2008 by the voters to increase the sales tax by a fraction of a percent. And these dollars that are generated go back to help us do projects with landowners that have natural resource concerns. And one of the potential projects that we're going to be looking at this year is the northeast portion of Stearns County into Morrison, into the Mississippi River, is an area that we have some resource concerns with sediment and nutrients, and we're looking at putting a Clean Water Fund grant application together for that area. And we're hoping that we can put in water control structures, erosion control structures, grass waterways, help with animal waste management systems, and other practices to address these resource concerns. We also are looking at putting a grant application together for a 12-county area, the West Central Technical Service Area, from Benton to Big Stone, Todd, Morrison, Canyon High, Stearns, Meeker, Pope, and all the way to Big Stone. That area, we're looking at potentially bringing on a nutrient management specialist that would be located in Pope, Todd, Douglas, or Morrison County. And this person, if we do get the grant, would be available to help farmers develop a comprehensive nutrient management plan, which is required in order for them to get EQIP funding for an animal waste management system. We've got quite a few producers out there that are requiring this assistance, and there is a lack of private certified crop advisors to do this work. So we're really hoping that we're successful, and if we are, these grants would be approved early next year, and we're hoping the summer of 2019 we could potentially have somebody assisting with nutrient management planning across this wider 12-county area. And we also are doing a lot of recon work with our local communities and cities, identifying potential projects with them. We've got about a half a dozen projects with Albany, Paynesville, St. Cloud, and other communities looking at stormwater management and some infiltration practices like rain gardens and other activities to minimize our pollutants. We also are looking at a conversion of turf to native prairie or alternative practices associated other than turf with the city of St. Cloud, and that project would be in conjunction with Benton County and Sherburne County, because St. Cloud covers all three of those counties, and we'd work in partnership with our fellow SWCD districts out there. So those are just a few of the grants that we're working on this summer, and those will be due August 31st. And we're hoping that we can get those submitted on time and are successful. And we'll find out later this year if we are. And if we are successful, I'll be back on Chasm to share that with our listeners.
You pretty confident, though, Dennis? Or
I feel very confident about the nutrient management because of the bottleneck and the need and the resource concerns with nutrient and bacteria in some of our surface waters. I think that's a pretty strong one. I think our northeast Stearns County into Morrison is going to be a fairly strong application too. The turf to native, that's going to be a little bit harder sale, I think, because turf does provide some water quality benefits. It doesn't provide all of the other ecosystem services that native prairie or pollinator habitat could provide. Mm-hmm. So those are some things. If you're looking at clean water, you gotta probably find a different grant to help fund some of those. So, but we're going to put it out there and see what we hear back, and then we'll adjust accordingly next year if we have to resubmit.
All right. Very good.
And speaking of special initiative funding, NRCS has extended its landmark water quality initiatives through 2023. And that would be for the Mississippi River Basin Healthy Watersheds Initiative and the National Water Quality Initiative. And what these are special targeted funding and technical resources for agricultural producers in certain areas that need the assistance the most. We look at TMDLs and RAPs and GRAPs, all sorts of different acronyms.
Oh my God!
To come up with certain targeted watersheds to put special funding for, so that we can address those water quality needs within those targeted areas. And we've had the MRB, the Mississippi River Basin Initiative, in the past and had great success with it. So we are working on putting a proposal together here to bring in some additional targeted funding to Stearns County for the MRB program and NWQI. It's essentially run the same way as our Environmental Quality Incentives program. So don't get lost in the terminology and the acronyms. We'll find the best program for you to assist you. It's just a way that we can be diverse and try to bring in as much money as we can to the county to help assist address all the resource concerns that we have.
Following up on the MRBI, the Mississippi River Basin Initiative, we have two smaller watersheds within the Sauk watershed, the Cedar and Long subwatersheds.
Correct. Those were the ones that we participated in the last go-around.
And we were able to bring in because we had these areas identified and we're working with producers, we were able to bring on a new employee, a Sauk conservation planner. This person is going to be working with farmers across the Sauk River watershed, including the Cedar and Long subwatersheds. And this person just recently started with us last month, Tessa Z, and it's funded through a Board of Water and Soil Resources, a Minnesota State grant, and an NRCS grant to help pay for her time for a 3-year position. So we're very excited to have her on board. She's originally from Colorado, got her a BS degree from Kansas State University with agronomy and soils emphasis, and we're getting her through some training. She went through some conservation planning conservation planning course last week. Rick helped put that course on. And we also have brought on a couple of other new staff. Our Farm Bill biologist position that was held by Kevin Roth. Kevin Roth had an opportunity to work with the Board of Water and Soil Resources, so he took that opportunity. And we have a new person now, Brian Rothstein. He's not related to Randy, I asked him, and but it's a big family. I'm sure they're shirt-tail relatives. But he just wrapped up his master's degree at Texas A&M down in Texas, and he's going to be our new Farm Bill biologist. He'll be working very closely with Jason Selvog in our office. He'll be working with producers in getting Conservation Reserve Program, the Conservation Reserve Enhancement CREP program, and a wide variety of other wildlife and set-aside programs like RIM, Reinvest in Minnesota programs. So we're excited to have him. And we brought on one additional person that's grant funded. And this person is funded through the National Association of Conservation Districts and the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. And this person is going to be working across that 12-county area from Benton County to Big Stone. And he's going to help producers that need structural practices installed in order for the farmer to get certified with the Minnesota Ag Water Quality Certification Program. So that person will be providing a survey, design assistance for producers that need that work done. And that's a 2-year funded position. And I just want the listeners to know that our staff in our office work very hard to get these grants and try to bring these dollars back to Stearns County to help you address your resource needs, and really appreciate your support in visiting with our supervisors and county commissioners and letting them know that, hey, we like what that SWCD is doing. Let's give them a little kudos there, because the staff have been working extremely hard.
You said I'm going to go back to where you said sub-watershed. What qualifies an area to be a sub-watershed?
A sub-watershed is just a term. A watershed is where raindrop falls and ends up over at a point over here. And you can shrink, or it's all about scale. And you can have the Mississippi River Basin as a watershed, which is from Louisiana to Minnesota. That's a watershed. And then you could call the Sauk River as a sub-watershed of that. So within the Sauk, there's other components of watershed where you can shrink it. It might be right around a certain lake or, like Long and Cedar. So that's, I don't know, does that help you see it?
So in other words, as long as there's water around, you're going to have a sub-watershed somewhere in this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you got water, you're going to have a watershed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got to move somewhere.
And in this area, it could be anywhere. Could be a sub-watershed.
Yes,
sounds like.
So right here in Albany, this is on where this station is. We might be outside of it, but the city of Albany, city of Albany proper, that is part of the South Two River watershed, and that flows northeast toward the Mississippi River.
It all depends on how small or how many pieces you want to cut out of that pie.
Or how hungry you really are.
How hungry you are. Sure.
All right. If people have more questions about what we talked about today, Rick and Dennis, how do they get a hold of you?
251-7800, extension 3. And just quickly, we did make it through our first cut with our LCCMR grant, perennial vegetation in sensitive areas on like the Cold Spring Drinking Water Supply Management Area. The next time we come back to Chasm, we'll be sharing some information about Kern's perennial crop that has a 20-foot root system that just takes up nitrates like nobody else's business.
Cleans it up.
Wonderful. So just a little something to entice your listeners when we come back in September.
And I'm enticed right now. All right. Dennis Fuchs from SWCD, Rick Berscheid, NRCS. Thanks for your time today, gentlemen.
Meow.
Appreciate it. All right. We're just in front of 10. News coming up.